Batman is a pretty malleable character. You've seen all sorts of incarnations of the Caped Crusader, from goofy to gritty. Batman seems to be one of the blankest canvases to create on in the superhero world. When I heard Telltale Games would be making a Batman game, I said to myself, I've enjoyed many of the Telltale offerings, and I wanted to give it a go. All of the footage you'll see in this review was taken from the first episode to keep the review as spoiler-free as possible. Batman was released in 2016 on the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. I'm reviewing the PS4 version. I played all 5 episodes in Season 1, and this review spans the totality of the game. Let's check it out. One of my biggest issues with comic book adaptations across all mediums is the constant retelling of origin stories, and Batman gets caught up in this trap a bit as well. Just think if every Batman comic for the past 70 years started with an origin story, we wouldn't have great stories like The Long Halloween, Killing Joke, or Hush. Yet, I digress. The game opens with Batman stalking his prey, laying a beat down on some scrubs, and suddenly, Catwoman is caught up in the caper gone sideways. Catwoman and Batman duke it out. Catwoman escapes, and we transition to a large gala for Harvey Dent, who's running for mayor. Bruce Wayne is the host with the most, but his party is crashed by Falcone. Falcone is a generic mob boss archetype, but he's got some interesting things to say about Bruce Wayne's dad, Thomas. After their encounter, people start to question if the Waynes are as squeaky clean as they once thought. Bruce is told that his childhood friend Oswald Cobblepot is in town, and he meets with him. Cobblepot isn't the waddling, three-fingered, top-hat-wearing maniac we all know. Instead, he's some sort of anarchist bent on making Gotham pay for his family's misfortunes. From this point, things get pretty bizarre. Batman finds drugs that make their victims turn into psychopaths, and the main antagonist, Lady Arkham, is introduced. That's all I want to say about the story. While I enjoy the story of Batman, it does 2 things that I am not a big fan of. First, the story takes too many liberties with characters. I don't mind if a character's changed aesthetically, or if their motivations are changed on the margins, but some of the core characteristics of Gotham's denizens have been mucked with. For example, there's a moment in the 4th episode where Commissioner Gordon is carrying a shotgun with Batman. He literally blasts a dude in the face. He and Batman just sort of move on. Batman doesn't even mention it. That felt so counter to Batman's character to me. Batman is always against guns regardless. Second, there's a dialogue that doesn't comport with the choices made previously in the story. There's a scene where Vicky Vale is trying to get some information out of Bruce, and I chose to say nothing. Later on, Vicky directly references the information I didn't give her. This ruins the sense of agency over the story. Why not make it a cutscene instead? The story is mostly good though. I liked how much time you spent as Bruce Wayne. He's often overshadowed by Batman, and it was nice to spend long swaths of time as Gotham's playboy. The gameplay in Batman is standard for Telltale Games. In action sequences, you push a direction or a button, and that's about it. There isn't much exploration or puzzle solving. One thing I really enjoyed was planning your attack in a room full of goons. Basically, you put links between the thug and what you want to hit them with. This genuinely felt to me like what Batman would do. Watch, plan, execute. You also have the same feature in crime scenes. You link evidence together to recreate the crime. I feel that this is the most neglected aspect of Batman's character across all video games. Hopefully someday we'll get a full-blown Batman detective game like the awesome Sherlock games. Graphically, Batman looks good, but it has the telltale signs of a Telltale game. One thing that strikes me is that some of the characters have wrinkles on their faces, but they kind of look like they're floating there. Old or angry people look bizarre. There are some nice blurring effects to give movement in action sequences. The action is well choreographed. It has a Guy Ritchie feel to it, since the slow-mo gives you time to read the inputs and react. Batman's movement is brutal and fluid. The fight scenes are long, and the unobtrusive user interface keeps the player from just looking at prompts and allows you to enjoy the combat. The interiors of locations have a wide amount of variety, with Wayne Manor, the Batcave, and Wayne Tower all feeling distinct, just to name a few. There are some issues with Batman, and they are the same issues any fan of Telltale Games will be familiar with. Lip syncing and frame rate issues are still occurring. However, these issues have been largely addressed compared to other titles. I didn't experience a single crash, which was quite common in other Telltale games. The sound in Batman is excellent. I feel bad for all the cabbages, broccoli, and other produce that must have been destroyed while recording the fights for this game. The zooms, zaps, and pows all sound great. The whooshing sound as time slows right before Batman lands a devastating blow has a nice bassy undertone that feels cinematic. The soundtrack to Batman is pretty over the top. It's one of the broodiest brews that's ever been brewed. This thing is dark and it adds a level of tension that helps the narrative move along. Overall, the music isn't anything I'd enjoy listening to, but it fits the game perfectly. The voice acting is high quality in Batman. I really liked Cobblepot's voice acting because he's so obnoxious. As Batman, you really want to punch him.
Oh, hey Bruce, you've got a little, good as new.
In some of the higher stakes scenes, some of the voice acting comes off as a little bit over the top, but overall, excellent sound work.
The suit, the car, this entire cave.
Master Bruce?
Everything I built! I created all of this because I didn't want any more innocent people to die.
Batman will take you about 6 hours to beat. Usually Batman can be found for $10 to $12, and I would say that's more than worth the price. There's just enough enjoyable content to make it worth a purchase. Batman has no real difficulty to speak of, though I did die once. I was surprised too. Batman the Telltale game is a good romp through Gotham. While it may send some into nerd rage, it is a worthy addition to the Batman game catalog. The issues holding it back shouldn't dissuade the curious, but there isn't enough new to impress the skeptical of the Telltale formula. This is Zach with Tanuki Games. Please remember that a like, a comment, or subscribe means a lot to me and, of course, the channel. Enjoy.